Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, we bring you a story full of surprises and hidden angles that few people know about. Don't leave just yet. Just when you think you've figured it all out, there are fascinating and meaningful details waiting for you at the end of the video. Let's explore together and uncover the special message this video has for you. Are you ready? Let's get started. Beneath verdant cliffs winds a serpentine channel, its tranquility shattered by the determined strokes of a lone navigator in a canoe built for three. Once accompanied by 8 companions, the man now paddles alone, his comrades seized by pale, bearded men armed with gleaming weapons and shields. Upon reaching his village, he recounts the ambush and rouses a war party to retaliate. These people are native to the land, their ancestors having forsaken the Eurasian expanse millennia ago, braving icy seas and settling in an untouched world. Over the ages, the land bridge connecting the hemispheres disappeared, leaving two worlds to diverge in isolation, their fates and histories unfolding apart. Empires rose and fell, languages flourished and faded, and beliefs shaped civilizations on each side of this divide. The Vikings of Scandinavia, renowned for their daring raids across Europe and the unyielding spirit that carried them to the icy shores of Iceland and Greenland, have now ventured into an untamed wilderness, an expanse vast and unknown, untouched by their kind. Yet this land, rich with promise, has swiftly turned hostile. Thorvald Eriksson, brother of the famed Leif Erikson, leads his band of Norsemen into the depths of this new world. Their presence, a disruption to the land's ancient rhythm, culminates in tragedy. Their initial encounter with the native inhabitants, a small group taken captive, ends in bloodshed. 8 lives extinguished under the Norse blades, their cries swallowed by the forest. The air grows heavy with the promise of reprisal. Soon, the horizon brims with a swarm of canoes, each bearing warriors painted with the colors of war. Their stone-tipped arrows darken the sky, a relentless storm forcing the Vikings to retreat to their ship. Shields are raised, forming a wall of iron, but the hail of projectiles continues, each strike a reminder of their peril. When the assault finally ceases, the warriors paddle away, their cries echoing across the waters. The Vikings emerge victorious, but their triumph is hollow. Thorvald Eriksson lies gravely wounded, an arrow lodged deep in his side. His breaths grow shallow, his strength waning. With the wisdom of a leader resigned to his fate, he commands his men to lay him to rest in this foreign land. 2 crosses, simple yet solemn, mark his grave, a lone reminder of his presence in this untamed world. With heavy hearts, his men fulfill his wishes before retreating to Leif Eriksson's settlement. As spring arrives, they set sail for Greenland, carrying tales of their harrowing venture. Yet the saga does not end there. The whispers of uncharted lands beckon once more. When the dragon-headed ships return, they do so not for plunder, but for promise. Thorfinn Karlsefni, a seasoned explorer, leads a formidable expedition of nearly 70 settlers. Men and women, warriors and farmers, Christians and pagans alike. They come not as marauders, but as seekers, chasing the dream of a new Vinland. The settlers endure their first winter with grit, bolstered by fortune when a beached whale provides ample sustenance. Sod-built homes offer shelter against the bitter cold, their hearths glowing with the hope of spring. But as the frost recedes, the land unveils its secrets. From the shadowed forests emerge the native people, cautious but curious. Their eyes linger on the Norsemen, on their iron tools and weapons, objects unlike anything they have ever seen. A tense silence falls as the 2 groups study each other. Then, gestures are made, offerings presented. The natives bring pelts, rich and lustrous, and motion toward the Norsemen's weapons. Karlsefni, mindful of the risk, refuses to trade iron, but offers milk instead. The reaction is unexpected. The native people, unaccustomed to the drink, find it delightful. They barter eagerly, exchanging their pelts for this new treasure before vanishing back into the wilderness. Encouraged by the peaceful exchange, but wary of what may come, Karlsefni orders the settlement fortified with a sturdy palisade. Time passes and autumn brings the return of the native people. They come laden with more pelts, their intent seemingly amicable. But the fragile peace shatters when one of them attempts to seize a Viking weapon. Panic erupts and blood is spilled. The settlers brace for the storm of retribution they know will follow. Under Karlsefni's command, the Norsemen strike first. Warriors venture into the forest, axes gleaming under the dappled light. In the ensuing clash, the quiet woods become a cacophony of war. Tomahawks meet axes, arrows, thud against shields, and the cries of battle rise into the air. The Vikings, with their superior armor and discipline, scatter their foes, leaving behind a grim testament to the price of conflict. But as the echoes of the skirmish fade, so too does the dream of Vinland. The settlers realize that this land, though fertile and rich, is a place of unrelenting hostility. Though they have survived, the cost has been too great. The weight of the fallen, both native and Norse, hangs heavy in the air. For now, the settlers endure, but the memory of blood spilled will forever linger, a shadow over their pursuit of a new world. The fragile thread connecting these two worlds stretches and strains, leaving a legacy of blood and mistrust, a fleeting, violent chapter in the millennia-long story of hemispheric isolation. Karlsefni's expedition endures the long winter at the settlement, their sod houses offering shelter against the harsh elements. When spring arrives, they load their ships with American grapes and pelts, preparing to depart. This tale comes to us from the saga of the Greenlanders, one of two Icelandic sagas that chronicle the Viking settlement of Greenland, Leif Erikson's legendary voyage to mainland America, and the Norse expeditions to the lands they named Markland, Helgeland, and Vinland. The other saga, Saga of Eric the Red, recounts the same story with notable variations, merging Thorvald and Karlsefni's ventures into a single narrative. It also features a dramatic battle where Native Americans overwhelm fleeing Vikings, only for the fearless Freydis to drive them off by brandishing a sword and striking her exposed chest. Both sagas, rooted in oral tradition and likely first transcribed in the early 1200s, are steeped in medieval lore. Prophetic reanimated corpses and ethereal voices punctuate their tales. In Ereka's saga, Thorvald's death is particularly fantastical. An arrow shot by a one-legged creature fatally wounds him in the groin. These sagas mark the twilight of an era as Viking clans transformed into kingdoms and the Norse settlements on Greenland were abandoned. Their fleeting incursions into the western lands became little more than fireside fables, scattered rumors passed along by traveling merchants. In the year 1340, an Italian monk, cloaked in the quiet seclusion of his monastery, whispered of a faraway land he called Markland, or Markalata. Tales of this mysterious place spoke of towering giants who roamed its vast landscapes, their strength so immense they could lift stones that no ordinary man could dream of moving. These giants, it was said, used the colossal rocks to construct buildings of staggering scale, their architecture a testament to an otherworldly power. But the tales remained shrouded in ambiguity. No sailor had ever confirmed these accounts, and so the land of Markland lingered on the edges of human imagination, an enigmatic myth etched in the margins of medieval maps. By 1492, the Vatican's chronicles expressed a mournful silence regarding Greenland, a remote and forsaken outpost that had drifted from the known world for more than 80 years. The once thriving Norse settlements were now mere echoes, their fate unknown. That same year, the age of exploration began in earnest, as Christopher Columbus landed on the shores of the Bahamas. His journey, driven by ambition and the promise of the unknown, marked the beginning of a new chapter in humanity's pursuit of distant lands. Yet even as the waves of exploration surged forward, the mysteries of Greenland and the fabled Markland remained unresolved, eclipsed by the dazzling discoveries of the New World. For centuries, scholars debated the truth behind the sagas that hinted at Viking ventures to mainland North America. Stories seemed improbable, woven with threads of myth and heroism. Doubts persisted until 1960, when a team of archaeologists uncovered the unmistakable remains of a Norse settlement at Lance Aux Meadows, on the northern tip of Newfoundland. Beneath the grassy mounds lay sod houses, the ruins of an iron forge, and the charred fragments of wood. Modern analysis would later date these remnants to the year 1021, providing indisputable evidence that the sagas carried a kernel of truth. The Vikings, led by the Eriksson brothers and other intrepid explorers such as Thorfinn Karlsefni, had indeed reached the shores of North America nearly 5 centuries before Columbus. Further studies of these ancient expeditions suggest that the Norse likely encountered the ancestors of the Beothuk or Dorset Native Americans. The sparse records and oral traditions hint at moments of tentative trade and cultural exchange, but they also recount clashes of a more violent nature. As the sagas tell, the Norse ventured as far south as present-day Maine or even New York, their dragon-headed ships cutting through uncharted waters. For a brief moment, it seemed as though these fearless seafarers might establish a foothold in the bountiful lands of the West. But this promise was short-lived. After only a few years, the formidable Vikings abandoned their fledgling colony. Their sudden retreat remains a mystery that has puzzled historians for generations. The sagas provide a haunting clue. Although the land was excellent, they could never live there in safety or freedom from fear because of the native inhabitants. The indigenous peoples of the region, fiercely protective of their homeland, may have been the ultimate force that drove the Norse back across the Atlantic. The resistance they encountered, combined with the isolation and harsh conditions of the New World, sealed the fate of these early European settlements. Despite their skill as warriors and navigators, even the Vikings, renowned for their resilience and bravery, could not sustain their quest to conquer the Western lands. And so, the Norse presence in North America faded into the annals of history, leaving behind fragments of their endeavors, sod-built homes, tools forged in iron, and sagas that tell of both triumph and defeat. These remnants, scattered and sparse, stand as silent witnesses to a fleeting moment when the Vikings sought to reshape the map of the known world, only to withdraw, their ambitions thwarted by the untamed wilderness and its determined defenders. Markland and Vinland remain, not as colonies, but as legends, proof of humanity's enduring hunger for exploration and the unyielding challenges of the unknown. While the Americas escaped prolonged Viking incursions, Europe bore the full brunt of their wrath. Watching Vikings, merchants, and explorers on Magellan TV, I was astounded by both the savage brutality inflicted on Europe and the enduring legacy of the Viking era. The documentary offers an incredible balance of present-day explorations of legendary Viking raid sites and vivid battle recreations, painting a rich picture of who the Vikings were and the profound mark they left on history. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. If you found this story interesting and meaningful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any exciting content coming up. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. We're eager to hear from you. See you in the upcoming videos with more unique and meaningful stories. Stay with us.